What if I told you that I spent 3 months systematically destroying the life of someone I loved, only to discover he was completely innocent? That my brilliant revenge plan didn't just backfire, it obliterated my entire existence while he walked away free. I'm Sarah, and I need to tell you about the most catastrophic mistake of my life, because if even one person learns from my stupidity, maybe some good can come from this nightmare. Hit that subscribe button if you want to hear how paranoia and revenge turned me from a successful marketing executive into someone who can barely get hired at a gas station. This is about Jake, the man I thought was cheating on me with someone named Ashley. For 2.5 years, Jake was my everything. He remembered my coffee order, supported my career goals, even helped me through my dad's cancer diagnosis. We had matching Christmas sweaters, for crying out loud. I thought we were building something real, something permanent. But perfect relationships don't exist, do they? The first crack appeared on a random Tuesday in March. Jake started working late 3 nights a week, always on the same days. When I asked about it, he'd get this weird look and say it was just a difficult client project. But here's the thing. I knew his work schedule better than anyone, and this client never appeared on his calendar. Then came the phone calls. Jake would step onto the balcony to take them, speaking in hushed, intimate tones I recognized as the voice he used to use with me. My stomach would twist into knots every time I heard that gentle tone through the glass door. The breaking point came when I was doing laundry and found a receipt in his pocket from Romano's, the expensive Italian place downtown where we had our first anniversary dinner. The date was last Thursday, when he claimed to be working late. The receipt showed dinner for 2, with wine I knew Jake hated, but someone else apparently loved. I sat on our bathroom floor holding that piece of paper, and I swear I could feel my heart actually breaking. Being smart, gathering ammunition for the confrontation that would end our relationship. But really, I was feeding an obsession that was consuming my sanity. Instead of confronting Jake like a normal person, I decided to make him pay. I knew exactly how to destroy him, because I knew him better than anyone. Or so I thought. Jake worked at Morrison & Associates, a boutique consulting firm where his boss, Margaret Morrison, prided herself on hiring people with impeccable character. Jake had told me countless stories about colleagues getting fired for much smaller ethical violations. His career was everything to him, and I was going to use that against him. I planned to expose his affair in a way that would systematically dismantle every important relationship in his life. First, I'd send evidence to Margaret, then to his deeply religious parents, who had raised him to believe cheating was unforgivable, then to his entire social circle, through carefully crafted anonymous messages. I even planned to contact Ashley directly, not to warn her, but to make sure she'd dump him publicly and humiliatingly. I spent weeks perfecting my approach, timing each revelation for maximum impact. I felt powerful, calculating, justified. Finally, I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the avenging angel. The first domino fell exactly as planned. I sent Margaret a manila envelope containing printed screenshots of Jake's texts with Ashley, photos of them together, and copies of hotel receipts. Within 48 hours, Jake came home looking like he'd been hit by a truck. Margaret had called him into her office and questioned him about concerning allegations regarding your personal conduct. Jake kept asking me if I had any idea who might have sent the information, his eyes wide with panic and confusion. Watching him squirm felt intoxicating. The second phase hit his parents the following week. I mailed them a package with a note saying, "Thought you should know what kind of man your son really is." His mother called him sobbing, demanding to know if he was bored with fabricated stories about his conduct with clients. Each escalation felt justified because in my mind, Jake was a master manipulator who deserved everything coming to him. I was so consumed with orchestrating his downfall that I stopped eating properly. Sleeping became impossible, and I called in sick to work constantly. My own friends started avoiding me because every conversation became about Jake's destruction. I was becoming someone unrecognizable, but I couldn't stop. The rush of watching him suffer had become my only source of happiness, and I needed more and more damage to feel anything at all. That's when the first warning signs appeared that my perfect plan was spinning out of control. My fake harassment allegations triggered a real HR investigation that spread beyond Jake to innocent colleagues. A woman named Lisa, who had never even worked closely with Jake, got dragged into questioning and nearly had a nervous breakdown thinking her own job was at risk. The BBB complaint led to an audit that cost Morrison and Associates thousands in legal fees and nearly destroyed Margaret's reputation that she'd built over 20 years. I started seeing the collateral damage everywhere. People losing sleep, relationships strained, careers threatened. But the worst part was that people were starting to figure out it was me. Jake's best friend Tom had always been suspicious of how much inside information the anonymous person seemed to have about Jake's schedule, his relationships, even his family dynamics. Tom started asking mutual friends questions, putting together a timeline, building a case against me. I could feel the investigation closing in, but I was in too deep to stop without admitting everything. I felt like a cornered animal, desperate and dangerous. The confrontation came on a rainy Thursday evening when Tom showed up at my apartment with evidence that I was behind everything. Screenshots of my fake email accounts, proof I'd been at locations where the anonymous photographer had taken pictures of Jake and Ashley. Even security footage from the hotel where I'd been asking questions. But Tom didn't come to accuse me. He came to tell me something that would haunt me.
Risking his own safety to save a woman from domestic violence. The truth spread faster than my lies ever had. Jake's family learned what he'd actually been doing and were devastated by how they treated him. His parents publicly apologized. His sister Emma broke down crying when she realized she'd abandoned her brother when he needed support. Margaret Morrison not only cleared Jake's name, but gave him a promotion for showing such character during a crisis. Meanwhile, I became the monster in everyone's story. Morrison and Associates threatened to sue me for defamation, harassment, and causing financial damage to their business. Jake's family wanted a restraining order. My own employer found out about my behavior through the investigation and fired me immediately for what they called disturbing conduct incompatible with our values. The professional organizations I'd lied to blacklisted me when they discovered my false reports. My friends cut contact one by one as details emerged about what I'd done. Even my own family was horrified when they learned how far I'd gone without ever simply asking Jake for an explanation. I lost my job, my reputation, my relationship, my friends, my family's respect, and most importantly, my sense of who I was as a person. 8 months later, I'm living in a studio apartment 40 miles away from everything I used to call home, working night shifts at a call center because it's the only job I could get with my destroyed reputation. Jake helped Ashley escape her marriage, and they're both doing well. I know this because it was in the local newspaper when Mike was arrested for domestic violence. Jake never pressed charges against me, which somehow makes everything worse, because it proves he really was the good person I'd tried to destroy. I've been in therapy twice a week, trying to understand how jealousy and paranoia turned me into someone capable of such calculated cruelty. My therapist says I created an entire fictional narrative to avoid facing my own insecurities about being abandoned. But understanding it doesn't undo the damage. I destroyed an innocent man's life because I was too proud and too scared to have a simple conversation. If you're watching this and you think someone is betraying you, please learn from my catastrophic mistake. Talk to them.